Hey everybody, welcome back to Songsmith 101. I was reading a poem this morning that had the line in it, "The lowest ebb is the turn of the tide." It was a poem by Longfellow, and I really liked the poem. It was called Loss and Gain, I think. But it gave me the idea for the episode here. But I realized as an artist, there are a lot of ebbs and flows in the creative process. A lot of highs and lows, if you will. And the low times can be very difficult. A lot of times in those periods, I'm hard on myself. I'm very critical, and I say, "Oh, I've wasted so much time. I haven't been productive. I haven't been practicing. I haven't been writing." And it's usually at those points, though, where I get all of my strength and motivation to start again and fix all of those problems that I see. And at that point, I usually make a choice to get in shape. Not physical shape, obviously. Talking about like creative shape. When I think about getting in shape creatively, one thing I think about is the artist's diet. On a broad level, the artist's diet is our sensory experience. The artist's job is to be out into the world and see things and touch things and hear things and taste things and smell things, and we, like everyone else, we experience those things, we internalize them, we store them as memories. But artists then take those experiences and turn them into something in which they externalize those sensory experiences. That's art, simply put. So it makes sense that an artist would be very mindful and deliberate about the sense experiences that they feed themselves. So overall, the artistic diet is composed of our sensory experience. But as a songwriter, there are two other areas I need to focus on. Obviously, music is an important part. But another part of songwriting that often gets ignored is the actual literary side of songwriting, the words. But part of the artistic diet for me is reading, and whether it's poetry or philosophy or history, some sort of nonfiction, I use it to just kind of get my mind going. Books are full of ideas, so it's a great place to look for inspiration. A lot of the time, I can use something that I might find in a poem, for example, and it's a springboard to another idea that might show up in a song or something. Whatever it is you're digesting, the point is to be deliberate about it and recognize that it's a potential source of information. Learn from it, use it. Now, obviously, songwriting is musical in nature, so what we digest in that arena is also very important. But it's important to be mindful of different ways that we listen to the music around us. Most of the time, we listen casually, it's on the radio, but I'm driving, or I'm thinking about what I have to do later, or it's playing in the restaurant as we're eating as kind of background music. There's music that we're very familiar with, we sing along, it's nostalgic. I love this song, and we sing along. For me, when I'm trying to feed the creative self, I'm not necessarily going into music that I'm very familiar with, that I already know by heart. I'm usually branching out into something that's challenging or unfamiliar. For instance, I went through a phase where I listened to a lot of classical music. In particular, I listened to a bunch of Aaron Copland. And the Appalachian Spring, I think, is the piece I listened to more than anything else. I would just spend time with my headphones on, listening to all the elements in that music, which it was very daunting because I at first didn't understand what instrument groups I was listening to. Eventually, I got a handle on it, and I could hear the melodies and the counter melodies. I could recognize all these different textures and layers in the music. Did I start writing classical music? No, but I found something about it that was inspiring. Occasionally I might get the guitar out and learn how to play some of the melodic themes that were there. I went through another phase where I listened to a lot of John Coltrane even though I was unfamiliar with a lot of jazz stuff at the time. Same thing, Bob Dylan. Believe it or not, I'm a songwriter, and I didn't grow up listening to Bob Dylan. It was much later that I really started understanding what was so phenomenal about what Bob Dylan did. And I listened through his entire catalog, methodically and deliberately. The same with Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson. Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, Randy Newman. And at those different points, I can actually go through and listen to the music that I wrote at those times and hear those different influences, because I was deliberately feeding the creative self. And it's weird how those things manifest themselves. I think what's crucial to understand, though, is that everyone's artistic diet is going to be different. You're following your own whims, your own impulses, your own interest. I have a certain set. I'm sure you have a certain set. I think what's important, though, is to be mindful that in order to create at a high level, you need to be in condition. And much like an athlete, you're going to be very deliberate about what you put into your body. What are you going to feed the creative self? There's also a conditioning component of it as far as like fitness or exercise. And we'll get into that in future episodes of Songsmith 101. Until then, cheers. Diet, exercise, artistic fitness.